I'm Dr. Revels, and you're listening to the REVELSations podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast, and let me know that you're listening. And remember, we're all family and friends. Since we are all family and friends, you can call me Rev. And also, what you could do for me is tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell an enemy you are listening to the REVELSations podcast. The topic of today's verse is I cannot protect who I cannot lead. I cannot protect who I cannot lead. Let's get to it. Of course, we have to start with some dictionary definitions, as we like to do here on the REVELSations podcast, so we're all on the same page. First definition is to protect. To protect means to cover or shield from the exposure of injury, damage, or destruction. To keep safe from harm or injury. Okay? Then we have to lead. To lead is to guide on a way, especially by going in advance. I was there first, and I can lead you on the way. It's also to direct the course of action or direction. It can also be said to direct or lead operations, to direct operations, activity, or performance. And then we have leadership. Leadership is the ability of an individual or a group of people to influence and guide followers or members of an organization, society, or a team. And I said, I cannot protect who I cannot lead. Let's get to it. I want to start with a story or an imagination. Imagine you were on a deserted island. You're not a outdoorsy type of person because most of us are not. We live in cities and we have cars and we have, technology and things of that nature. And if you're under the sound of my voice, more than likely you're not living in a hut in the middle of a forest. But just imagine, for conversation's sake, that you are. You were on a plane and you crashed on a deserted island, and there was a person who lived there. And they understood where all the pitfalls of the island are. They know where they are. And they tell you, hey, do not go on this part of the island because over there are lions and tigers and bears. And you say, oh, okay, well, no, I'm an independent person, independent being defined as free from outside control or the subject of anybody else's authority, and I can do what I want. And they're saying you can do whatever you want, but if you go over to this part of the island, there's going to be lions and tigers and bears. And you decide, because you're an independent person and you're not a dependent person, which means that you are contingent on someone else's authority or leadership, you decide to go. And when you go, you get attacked by the lions and tigers and bears. And then you call for the guide or the person who has been there for a while. Help, help, help. Please come save me from the lions and tigers and bears. That person might be able to come save you, but then they would have to put their life in danger in order to save you. They would have to try to fight off the lions and tigers and bears. And my argument would be that guide or that person should not go over there and help you. Their protection and their leadership was keeping you from going there in the first place. They were trying to advise you. They were doing what actually protection calls for, to keep safe from harm or injury. Protection is not saving you once you are in danger. It doesn't save you from harm and injury when you're being attacked. True protection happens before. True protection is actually prevention. So you go and get attacked by the lions and tigers and bears, and let's say you survive, and then you look at the guide and say, why didn't you come save me? And he said, well, my protection came in the form of prevention. And that's what I mean. It is hard, and I cannot protect who I cannot lead. If you don't submit yourself under my leadership or the leadership of anyone, they cannot protect you from what is to come of the dangers in life. Let's get to some more practical knowledge and information. I have an uncle. My uncle is a great man in my life, and he is a retired firefighter back in the great state of Illinois. And he told me a long time ago that the greatest way to stop a fire is to make sure one never starts. So him and the fire department, they did a lot of fire prevention exercises, fire prevention training. When they would go to different buildings and different houses, they were there to make sure the electrical outlets were up to code, and the ovens and stoves were up to code, and the fire detectors and smoke detectors were working. And I would say, why are you doing that? He said, again, because the greatest way to put out a fire is to make sure one never starts. So imagine all those people who are out of code, those people who are out of compliance with the city, and their houses would catch fire. More than likely, their houses would catch fire because they were out of code and they weren't following instructions. They were not allowing the city to lead them into protection. And now their fire is their house is on fire or their building is on fire. And now the fire department comes and they can put it out, but there's damage to be done. And imagine getting upset with the fire department and saying, look, well, you saved me, but there is some damage done to my property. And the fire department and the fire marshals would look at them and say, well, did you listen to our leadership? Did you fall under our protection before the danger happened? Probably not. You probably weren't listening. Now, of course, there are some times when you can listen and you can follow and life happens, but it's still going to be pretty hard to protect somebody that you're not leading. And I tell you what, it's a lot easier to come to the rescue of those who you know listening and things still happen than those that you know did not pay attention to you, much like the people who went to the place on the island with the lions and tigers and bears and the people who did not follow the code of the fire department. So if you know me well enough, you know I'm not actually talking about fires and being on deserted islands. I'm talking about life. And I'm talking about relationships, and I'm talking about submitting to authority. Not just in relationships romantically, I mean submitting to authority in the world. Sometimes we have to. And oftentimes when we submit to that authority, we believe that they're trying to control us. We're thinking they're trying to make us dependents and not independent people like we love to be. Well, when we want to not be under the authority of anybody else, just like independence is, free from outside control, not subject to another's authority, then we don't get the privilege of their protection as well. And as I said, I cannot protect who I cannot lead. A part of my leadership style and a part of most leadership style is prevention. If I tell you don't do something, it is not to control you, but it is to prevent the bad thing from happening to you. And it's going to be really hard for me to protect you if you walk outside of the frame or outside of the box of the leadership. So imagine your life. Imagine those who you are in charge of protecting, kids, young people, or maybe anybody under your leadership, and they refuse to follow your rules. How easy is it for you to protect them from the dangers that are going to come from their disobedience? And yes, I'm using terms like disobedience. Yes, I'm using terms like leadership to make it really hit home. We have to oftentimes check ourselves and say, okay, I want to be an independent person, but do we really? Right? Do we want to be free from outside of control? Because when we're free from outside control or anybody else's authority, we also lose the privilege of that protection. And then we end up in these terrible situations and we're asking someone to come put their life on the line after we've been directly disobedient to their orders or to their ways. I think what happens is we are being a little, for lack of a better word, egotistical and thinking that we know the way. But then when we get in trouble, our ego goes out the window and then we expect other people to come save us. We expect other people to come protect us. But if we were to listen to them in the first place, we probably wouldn't end up in a dangerous situation. And as I said before, we're more the protectors are more likely to want to protect us if we don't continue to put ourselves in dangerous situations. Imagine a friend that you're out with. It could be a platonic friendship, or imagine a romantic relationship. It doesn't matter. And you're out with this person and you agree to protect this person. Well, a part of your protection is going to be to not put them in a situation where they need protecting. But imagine that every time that you try to put them in a situation where they don't need protecting, they're running into danger and you're telling them, don't go here, don't go there, don't do this, don't say that, don't have these actions, and they continue to do it. And every time they do it, they ask for you to protect them. After a while, you're going to say, you know what? I'm no longer signing up for this. I can no longer be friends with you. I can no longer date you. I can no longer be around you. Why? Because you're putting me in danger because you're not following under my leadership. And again, I can only protect who I cannot lead. And the greatest form of protection is prevention. Take it a little bit deeper. Most religions teach prevention over protection. Your God or your guiding light or the universe is telling you not to do something, not out of control, but to protect you from the negative things that comes with the action that you did. So we often say, oh man, religion is trying to control me, or the government is trying to control me, or my boss is trying to control me, or my spouse is trying to control me, or my parent is trying to control me. Are they really? Or are they just trying to prevent you from going down the path because they know they've been down that path before? Remember, leadership in part means to guide on a way, especially by going in advance. I've been there. I've seen that. I know what's going on. And I can't protect you from that if you don't allow me to lead you, if you don't allow me to be the person that guides and influences you, a person that you listen to and you fall under my leadership and my obedience. So again, I cannot protect who I cannot lead. Can you? Imagine trying to lead a group of people or a child or employees or a spouse or anything, and they refuse to follow your leadership. They refuse. How long can you protect them? And more importantly, how willing would you be to protect somebody that directly disobeys you? Think about that. Also, your life, all those ways that you're being disobedient, all those ways that you will not submit to somebody else's authority. Are you then asking for their protection? Are you then expecting them to protect you from the dangers that they tried to warn you of going into in the first place? I don't know. I want you to think about it. Drop a comment. Let me know. Thank you again for listening to the REVELSations podcast. You can hit me up on all the social media platforms at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's at the REVELSations podcast. You can also contact me directly, the REVELSations podcast at gmail.com. Again, share this with somebody that might benefit from his message. You know somebody out there who is not following under somebody's leadership and they're still asking for that person's protection. And they might be asking for your protection, even though they're not listening to you and following your leadership. Send this to them. Let them listen to it. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. I am because we are. Hallelujah. Holla back. Peace.
Yeah, the revelations now televised. A platform for you and I. An outlook with full heart and clear eyes. Now, these are just my thoughts. Truth on how I feel with these topics I reveal. Please know my toll, I always keep it real. Can't face the word if you can't face facts. For your time, just open up your mind. That's it, just live, think big, now take that. With God in me, this here was made by design. Yeah, the revelation will be televised. REVELSations.